Hello, sacred beings of light and dark. Welcome back to week 5 of Solstice Echoes. It seems we've been on this journey of balance, or at least I've been on this journey of balance between light and dark. Thinking in particular about the artwork that I did in the last few weeks that began with golden knowledge being held and awaiting rebirth, transitioned into looking at the value in light and darkness, and then into bringing some light into that darkness and passing in through a threshold or a transformative center to bring that light in. And finally, to begin bringing out our vibrancy with softness within that balance. Additionally, we've been in Capricorn season, and I've been relating that a little bit to the seed in the ground. The seed has been planted in its darkness, but since the winter solstice, we've been gaining more and more light. And those little bits of light then seep into the darkness, to the seed. We now are transitioning into the season of Aquarius. Aquarius being a fixed air sign. And also it's called the water bearer. And that makes me think of the fact that seeds need to be watered. And this gives them energy, or one source of energy, to push on into new life. In particular, Aquarius is more in the mental activity area. So it's like we have this seed in the ground and it's cultivated something within it as it's been there. Now we're going to add some water to it, and we're going to add some mental energy to it. And what way that water and mental energy will serve is variable. Like I said, Aquarius is an air sign, even though it's the water bearer. Sort of confusing to me, but that's the way it is. But the fact that it's an air sign makes me think of variability. You know, the wind blows in different directions at unexpected times. So it's like figuring out, do we want this piece or that piece or this piece? You know, as we move towards introducing something new within our lives. But going back to balance, I want to encourage us to think about the balance within us and outside of us. Generally, we're very attracted to the outside of us, what's happening in the world that doesn't seem right, even though there are some aspects of things that do seem right. What about the things inside of us that are also fighting between each other, between what is right and wrong, not just based on what other people say, but the stories that we're telling ourselves within us? It makes me think of The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, and with the fact that our bodies can respond to our belief systems. It's largely due to past experiences, either in this lifetime or another, or the lifetimes of our ancestors that we then inherited through epigenetics. So this relates to the balance that may or may not be occurring within us, and the physical ailments or frustrations or emotional turmoil that we may have within us based on our beliefs. So I really want to encourage us to look at those beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves. Do our stories contain balance for our lives? Do they contain balance for our community? Do they contain balance for the world? At what point do your stories create light, and at what point do they create darkness? What responsibility might you hold for creating darkness, even when your intention might be light? One aspect of the biology of belief is that we are influenced by our preconceived beliefs, which may be influenced through our genetics, through our families of origin, through our culture. Many things contribute to our beliefs. And I'm just suggesting that we question those beliefs and how well they play out in the world in offering balance to ourselves and to others. Stories in general are very powerful. The stories that we tell ourselves or we tell each other have great impact on all of us. The words and how they are formed, the sounds that they make, the inflections that they provide, all have impacts. You might say, "I love you." Or you might say, "I love you." Which one would you prefer? And which one really communicates love? Or do either of them communicate love? These are instances that might confuse us based on our experiences. And we might have reactions in the split second of hearing those words, which register not necessarily in our brain, but in our skin. The skin and the muscles that react first and send messages to the brain that then respond in kind. I don't propose to have solutions. And yet, I believe that we have solutions within us. But I think a starting point is to understand the sensation of balance, to know at which point we feel unbalanced versus imbalanced. Balanced, imbalanced. Anyway. That's why I was stressing looking at the different aspects of balance within these last few weeks. A couple of tools that I'd like to offer to provide some balance within us or have a sense of changing those signals, those bodily signals within us, include 1, Mudras, and 2, Hooponopono. So I want to start with 2 mudras that I want to do the hand symbols for and some sound. And then we'll go to Hooponopono. So the first mudra that I want to do is balance. And this is more balance within the body and from the left and right sides of the body in particular. So I'm going to, and this hand symbol is also placed at the solar plexus, which is around the belly button. So that's where I'm going to focus my attention. Putting the fingertips together and lowering to my belly and breathing. So for me, the sounds oscillated up and down from the belly button, just a little, and then out into my fingertips, back and forth, with the second tone vibrating much stronger in the belly than the first. So the suggestion is to try to imitate the sound as best you can, in addition to the hand symbol, to give you the fullest effect. And then to sense the balance in your body between right and left sides. And as I do that, I feel that the left side has a greater thickness or coating on it versus the right side seems more open and yet less protected. So experiment with that and see what sensations you have, and notice when you feel like you're in balance and when you're not in balance with regard to the left and right sides. Another card that I want to look at, which is similar but different, is called Alignment. And this is more of a universal balance point. And the fingers are similar and yet somewhat different. So for this one, it's like this. And down to the belly again. Breathing. So this one felt a bit more powerful to me. On the first cycle of tones, I felt kind of like I was taking off or being lifted a bit, but it was more backward. The second tone grounded me downward, and the third tone grounded me upward, all from the solar plexus location, which is interesting since I usually ground from the heart center, but this one seemed to be more grounding at the solar plexus. And so again, I invite you to attempt to vocalize along with me in this video as a more powerful way to experience this mudra. Listening is great. Vocalizing is even greater. And lastly, let's do some Hooponopono to release what's imbalanced and have a flow in or accept waves of balance into our lives to encourage that energy. So think of some energy within your life that feels imbalanced, either within your own body, within your own community, or within the world. So maybe for myself, within my own body, I've been playing with my vision, which has a weirdness to it in that it works for me because I'm used to it, but in fact it is kind of a flip-flop, I guess, in that my left eye can see clearly for a distance where my right eye is equally blurry, and then they switch. My right eye goes clear and my left eye goes blurry. And I've been working with this aspect and some different exercises, including the drawing that I did this week. And I believe that causes some confusion and imbalance within me. It's already an imbalanced state, and yet to correct that imbalance is going to initially feel not balanced. And that is an aspect of any kind of change that we try to induce into our lives, and that it won't feel quite comfortable or settled, because it's something different than we've experienced before, or how we've enjoyed experiencing it before. So that's an example of where an imbalance can then create more imbalance before it balances itself out. Within my community, I might say that, of course, there are many things of violence happening in the world. There are issues between different peoples and their beliefs and skin colors. And those are things that are obviously imbalanced within most of our communities right now. In the world and in the earth, I could point out the different storms that are occurring, volcanoes erupting, glaciers melting, many factors that are included in that, some of which I think are part of balance and others are decisively not. So within all of this, maybe just take these energies in, and the energies that you can note within your life of imbalance. And we'll start Hooponopono by taking responsibility for anything that we've done to create these imbalances, or maybe we would want to call them darknesses in our life and in our world. It could be the smallest thing, such as not speaking up in our community, maybe not writing a kind note to somebody who needs upliftment, the awarenesses that you ignore. So taking responsibility is the first step of Hooponopono. And I say, as a divine creator being, I take responsibility for my roles in what's being created in the world right now, within me, within my life, and within the world. I have power to do so. And in being that divine creator being, I love myself. I love myself for who I am and the experiences that I've allowed in my life. That they've created these experiences for all of us. Even though we might see them as poor experiences, they're still just experiences that we also have the power to release rather than to hang on to with our stories. So I take responsibility and I love myself for what's occurred. And then I say, I'm sorry to everyone who this is affected to allow this experience for us. I'm sorry for all of the emotions and the mistreatments and the sacrifices that have been made to allow us these experiences. And finally, I say, please forgive me for wanting these experiences, for desiring to know what it's like to have this much darkness in the world, to have this much darkness in my life, that I might bring more light into my world because I understand this quality of darkness that I've created. So thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. And now let's call in waves, receiving waves of what you want to bring into your life. Let's receive balance, greater balance of light and dark, that we might see the dark and the light in balance, not having too much darkness or too much light, but a flow, a wave of dark and light in gentle softness, gentle transitions. Let's call in waves of love and encouragement for this balance in our world. Let's call in peace of mind, that we can allow both darkness and light in gentle and peaceful vibrations. And finally, let's offer a sound. I'll offer mine and you vocalize yours as what balance sounds like in our world, so that our bodies will know that balance when it encounters it and knows that it can grab onto it and try to continue to create more of that within our bodies, within our lives, and with our communities and our world. Ho, 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 Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you again soon.